time is it?
9 seconds, 10 seconds now, 11 seconds now. What'd she say?
What time is it?
That was fine.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome to This Podcast Is Not For You. My name is Wes.
My name is Jake.
I'm into it. I am Jake.
Can we do it again?
What did you think you was
Can we do it again?
Bond.
This'll be-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
This is the only, since it's a boner, this is the only edit we're making. We have to do that again. We all have to say that.
Okay.
Those are the rules.
You want me to cut it out of the video too?
That's up to you.
Hi. Welcome to This Podcast Is Not For You. My
Hello.
name is Wes.
Is it really?
Are we all doing it? I thought we were ending with him doing it.
My name is Jake.
I think the cheese level would be too high for me. So I'm going to say that my name is Bond.
Nice. Gotcha.
James Bond.
We are doing a bonus
Jimmy.
ep.
Some people call him Jimmy.
Jimmy Bond.
Jimmy Bond.
Famous secret agent Jimmy Bond.
007.
Today we are doing a bonus ep talking about the new film No Time to Die, directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga.
Looked it up in the bathroom again.
I did not this time. I knew it.
Looked it up in the bathroom yesterday.
It is the final film of Daniel Craig as James Bond. It is the 5th James Bond film he has starred in, starting with Casino Royale in 2006, I believe. Then Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and now No Time to Die. This movie was delayed. It was probably the first movie delayed by COVID that I remember.
Its
Hearing
first
about.
delay was actually a production delay in 2019.
Oh, really?
So it was supposed to come out in 2019, 2 years ago.
Was that a director replacement delay?
Yes.
This is when Sam Mendes left? Or no, Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
Danny Boyle was going to direct it.
So
I
that
didn't know that.
Yeah.
that is what's crazy. Is, I mean, 2 year. I mean, it's just crazy.
So they were
to think about.
partway through production and he left?
I think it was during pre-production he left.
Okay. So they hadn't shot yet.
No. But it put them behind enough.
Yeah.
And Carrie came in and essentially rewrote everything.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it is. We all saw it. Peyton and I went up Friday and saw it at the Alamo Draft House, and then you guys saw it the next night here in town. So Peyton's seen it twice now.
We have.
And then
Classic movie reviewer. That's his shtick when we review movies. He
He's seen
sees
it
it at least twice.
before
Tenet 8 times before we talk. But that's his thing.
You and I have only seen it once.
Yeah.
I may not have the best content, but I had seen it the most, okay?
So before we get into just our thoughts on this, what is our backgrounds with Bond films in general? Are you guys Bond fans, or are you like meh, or how do you guys feel about James Bond films?
I would say I'm right in the middle. I like when they're on, I liked watching them, like when they were on television. I would say I like half of them and I don't like the other half. And it's pretty, they're hit and miss.
Yeah.
There's so many of them they're just going to naturally be that way.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would say that I think they're, for the most part, they're really well made action films. For something that has changed characters or changed actors as many times as it has, somehow it still works.
And
It's different than, like-
changed generations of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Different
And something
decades or so
something about
different.
the format works better for multiple. Like, if they made that many Batman movies, it just wouldn't work for
Right.
some reason. But
Yeah.
I think it works with that format. I don't know. It's a serialized type thing.
And I think the Bond films in general do enough to be different from one another.
Yeah.
I think they really try to not repeat themselves too often.
From Bond to Bond, you mean?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, you look at Pierce Brosnan's films, and they're very different from Daniel Craig's, and they're all very different from Sean Connery's.
Yeah.
But, Jake, what about you?
I would say I'm probably pretty close to that same boat. I was never really into him, and then in high school, Scott Knudsen got me into James Bond. Him and his dad loved James Bond, and so we watched a few of the Sean Connery ones together, and then not when they came out, obviously.
Right.
And then I'd only seen a handful of the Pierce Brosnan ones. I don't even know how much they are, and I've only seen Casino Royale and Skyfall, I think, of the Daniel Craig ones. And yeah, I think
moderate
it's cool.
enjoyment. Yeah,
It's cool. Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I definitely don't think it's overrated or anything. I think he's cool,
Mhm.
right? So if you like that, you're gonna like James Bond, and I think
Right.
that's fine. So yeah, I don't think that it's overrated. I don't think that they've done it too much. It's just I never have been super into it. It's yeah, I'll see. But nowadays if there's a movie event, I'm there. So
Sure.
it's I'm obviously excited for this, especially people have been pumped for 2 years. And it's
yeah,
this is cool. It's finally coming out. My boss was it's crazy they shot it. All the footage you're watching is 4 years old. I was
Right.
that's freaking crazy,
yeah.
Not really 4, but it's it's in terms of how long it's been made, it's just wild to think
Yeah.
about. So
I'm
What about you?
probably in the same boat as you guys. I think when they're good, they're really good, and when they're bad, they're pretty dull. Even just thinking about the Daniel Craig ones, the ones that are good are really good, and then the ones that are bad are pretty awful. Not enjoyable to watch at all. But
we're looking at you, Spectre.
and Quantum of Solace a little bit
Yeah.
too. It really did seem to alternate. Good one,
Yeah.
good one,
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy the Daniel Craig ones a lot because they definitely modernized quite a bit. From Pierce Brosnan to Daniel Craig, it almost completely changed in terms of the style of the movie.
Yeah.
They went for more realism, I feel like.
Yeah. And Pierce Brosnan's movies were so silly near the end.
Yeah.
They started out a bit more grounded with Goldeneye was classic. Goldeneye was a bit more grounded,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just got steadily more insane. But
Yeah.
yeah, so No Time to Die, like I said, 5th Daniel Craig Bond film. How does he rank amongst Bonds for you guys? Do you even care? Do you have a Bond ranking in terms of the actors playing him?
I would say that he when I think of, and like I said, this is all prefaced with our level of James Bond gusto. He exemplifies the most suave Bond that I think that I've personally seen. That doesn't mean he's the most he's a total bad A. It's just even keel. Has to jump out of a car, roll over and be anyway, where was I? It's just
Yeah.
See, it's interesting. I think a lot of Bond fans would say that Craig is not even remotely close to the most suave one.
Interesting.
But I think he is.
Yeah,
He has that, but I think people point to the gruffness of his character. He's a bit more
To me,
the crap beat out of him.
He's the most
what he would be like in real life.
assassin.
Oh yeah,
of Bonds. He's the most machine-like or animal-like.
He's been built by
he's the
MI6
most-
essentially.
He's the most physical. He's like Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
More than he is James Bond to me.
Hmm.
Which is cool. I think it's a
Yeah.
cool version of it. I would say,
Instead of super stealthy.
yeah, get through on charisma. He's got it
Yeah.
because they write it for him, I think. but I think it's outweighed by how much action he's doing probably. Whereas Sean Connery's not doing that much action.
Yeah.
He's
Daniel
basically
Daniel Craig's Bond will just bust through a wall if he needs to.
yeah. And that's part of. I mean, that's just the way those movies were made back then. They just weren't super heavy action movies.
Yeah.
They're classics. You know, so they're not shot that way.
Yeah, the old Bonds are much more about like the class
Yeah.
Yes.
and like the
Debonair.
smooth talking, like
Yeah.
Which it's. I think it's viable either way because the movie is making him more debonair because there's more of it in it.
yeah.
That doesn't necessarily that means that
Yeah.
the character is more debonair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to kind of separate those two things probably.
Then Pierce.
I don't know what
Yeah.
I think they're going I don't know. He I think he has the cleverness thing probably in the debonair or suave, I guess is what we're saying.
Yeah. Dad, I remember always talking
I
about
just don't think
Pierce-
they were made well for him. I think the writing's not very good, and I think it's not necessarily him. I think it's the people making the movies. Then.
Yeah.
And Dad always said he felt like Pierce Brosnan would not be able to physically do the things that Bond was supposed to be able to do because Pierce Brosnan at the time was like a super skinny, like smaller guy,
Yeah.
and someone like Daniel Craig is a bit more like
At this
tougher
point,
looking.
yeah.
But yeah, Pierce Brosnan probably could have been better if he had better, because GoldenEye's a good Bond
GoldenEye's
movie, but that's really it. Like, I don't even really remember too much about his later films because they were so like convoluted and weird. But anyways, that brings us all to No Time to Die. So this is the fifth Daniel Craig Bond movie, and he's still going for the
YouTube content.
Yeah.
YouTube content.
quick synopsis of the film. Let me say that again. A quick
I thought it was-
synopsis
that was
of
good.
the movie. This takes place sometime recently after Spectre ends, I believe.
It sure seemed like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bond is
Retired.
retired again, as he always seems to be retiring.
Do we want to do a spoiler-free section or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just giving like the basic setup. And he is with Madeline Swan. Swan was her last name, right? The female lead from Spectre. And they are together in Italy. And something happens where people are coming after Bond and they have to go their separate ways. And Bond goes into hiding, and then it jumps 5 years in the future.
Retires again.
Still retired. Yeah. And then another plot kind of sets off from those events. But it kind of brings Bond back from retirement for this last thing. And it's pretty...
Essentially for her. Like,
Yeah.
There's other things that happen, but it's essentially he's brought back out of retirement because she's in danger for the
Right.
most part.
Yeah. And it has to do with Blofeld, who is
Unfortunately, yeah.
in this world Bond's half-brother or like stepbrother or something. That was part of Spectre. Very forgettable movie. But he is brought out for that reason too, because Bond has kind of this vendetta against Spectre, and Spectre seems to be the one coming after him at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the general plot.
Yeah, I mean, Spectre's behind every antagonist from all of his movies.
According to the movie Spectre, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
If that's
According
to be
to
believed.
Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
So general spoiler-free feelings and thoughts about No Time to Die.
Well, I think first we should note that it's the longest one. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think it didn't feel too long to me.
Yeah.
Which I think is a plus for anything that's that long to not feel too long
Right.
is an achievement, I think. I think it is. I really enjoyed it, so I went and watched it a second time, as we said. I wouldn't have if I didn't enjoy it, at least a little bit. I just thought that was worth noting before we got into thoughts.
I really
part of the synopsis.
I really enjoyed it as well. I was hopeful for it because of who's directing it. Cary Joji Fukunaga directed the first season of True Detective. He also directed a movie called
Beasts of No Nation.
Beasts of No Nation, starring Idris Elba, which is really good. And he also directed a series with Jonah Hill and Emma Stone called Maniac, which was also very, very good. So everything this guy had done up until this movie, this was his first real huge feature-length film. And
because Beasts of No Nation was a direct-to-streaming, right?
It was a Netflix movie. Yeah. It was one of the earliest Netflix movies. And he is notably the first American to direct a Bond movie, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I had high hopes for it, but they were tentative. The trailers didn't make it look particularly great. It looked like, it kind of looks like a Bond movie.
And you saw him for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had I was excited because of who was directing it, but I had tepid feelings because I knew the last one wasn't that great. But yeah, I was impressed and enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was a fitting end for Daniel Craig's run.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
I would agree. I thought wasn't really if it came out this week, I would be like, yeah, I'll go this weekend. Yeah. If it came out last week, yeah, I'll go. If it came out in 3 months, yeah, I'll probably go to that. So it's it's just,
you weren't hotly anticipating it.
No, not at all. But like I said, big time movie, gonna be conversations happening about it. I'm gonna be in on those. I want to be in the know, and especially with someone. 15 years is a long time, longer than Tony Stark played Iron Man. So it's not as many movies, obviously, but
wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yes, it's 15 years. This is his last one. Yeah, I'm gonna go for sure.
Wow. I had not thought about that at all.
And
Lowen Mines here.
And he didn't do a lot. He did Knives Out. I'm trying to think of their feature-length movies he did
Logan
in
Lucky.
the meantime.
What's up? Logan Lucky. With Steven Soderbergh.
That car movie. And Adam
it's a robbery
Driver,
movie. Adam Driver.
Oh, yeah.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
I never saw it, but I knew he was in it.
But yeah, so it was dang, I want to go see that.
The amount of movies that Robert Downey Jr. crammed into the Marvel universe at the same time that Daniel Craig did 5 Bond movies, that is bonkers.
So no expectations, really. Especially with the limited Daniel Craig movies I had seen, I was okay, cool. But I enjoyed it. I thought, like I said, if my perspective on James Bond has always been cool, expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Doing cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is a guy that at times, man, I wish I was that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, he looks so cool. Man, that was really cool when he did that, so, and I thought it excelled on all of those.
Yeah.
Really cool cars. As I get older, I'm like, that's cool. I like that car. When I was in high school, I was like, who cares?
Yeah.
But it's like, dang, that's a nice car. Oh man, that suit looks really cool.
Whenever Q pulled out the watch, I heard you go, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
It's
like
that.
Cool gadgets and cool. So, and it did all those. And I thought the bonus, the icing on the cake, which I don't want to steal from Pate because we both mentioned it at the exact same time after we had seen it together. A lot of really cool stuff with the camera.
Yeah. I was going to say,
and so that was a bonus as far as I was concerned. I was like, man, the shots are interesting, and the transitions and the composition that sets up the shots it was all really interesting.
Right.
I felt like, and so cool locations. I mean, cool places. Man, that dude living on that, just carrying, 2 freaking, whatever.
Yep.
2.
I think they're grouper, right? He's just like,
the
carries,
fish.
Yeah, he just carries 2 grouper in. He's like, I'm gonna eat these tonight. I'm like,
yeah,
dude, that's
just
cool.
some bungalow in Thailand or something.
It's like, dude, that's cool.
He's in the Philippines or something
yeah.
somewhere.
So, I thought it was a cool movie.
Yeah, to jump off of that, I would say, without spoiling anything, the two things that elevate it probably over, it gives it 60 to 70% elevation to me, is the practical effects, which is paramount through the film. I mean, there's almost, I didn't catch hardly any CG. There's a little bit.
The very end.
But there's not much.
Yeah.
And then the camera work.
Yeah.
Those two things, I think, take it to another level. Because you only have so much to play with. Like, you're not going to make some crazy, interesting story that has a bunch of twists. You've got a formula.
Though I think they put in more quality into the storytelling in this one that actually matters more so than some other Bond movies.
Yeah,
they actually made him a character with stuff going on, which they've been working on throughout all of Daniel Craig's films.
But I mean, just in the general sense, you have a formula. It's a James Bond movie. I mean, you can't make it a 2.5 hour long drama with no action. You can't.
Yeah.
So you're limited already by that.
Yeah.
One limitation changes your film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. I think the story is good. I just mean those two things are the things that you can play with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think elevate them.
I think, the strongest aspect of it to me was Carey's direction. I think he did a fantastic job making really clever and creative directing choices. The camera work was really good.
Yeah.
And then there was some really cool sound stuff that they did too with like the earpieces.
Mm-hmm.
But
very subtle.
Yeah, I thought that was the strongest aspect, was the direction, because the performances were all really good too. Like, this might be Daniel Craig's best performance as Bond, I think. And all of the supporting characters were really good.
Yeah. I did not see, I thought it was a really good way how they mixed in. I didn't see Freddie Mercury being in the story at all, but that was really well done. I thought.
I agree.
Yeah, very smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never really got his motivations, but it could have been that he was
It starts out as
trying
revenge,
to get back to Queen.
Oh.
Got him.
Revenge on Queen.
Yeah.
But no, that his point is valid.
Yeah.
I mean, for real though.
Right.
Well, we can get into it now.
So, generally speaking, we would recommend seeing it, especially if you're a Bond fan, I think, or even moderately like the Bonds.
You want to rank it?
Amongst Craig's
Yeah,
films?
Let's rank it amongst Craig's.
Amongst Craig's? For me, it would be
3 Craigs out of 5.
It would be second best amongst the Daniel Craig Bond films, I think, behind Casino Royale.
Obviously. Yeah, Casino Royale is the best, I think, the best Bond movie of all time. But I would say it is tied with Skyfall for second.
I was going to say this about Daniel Craig as Bond. He might not be the best Bond, quote unquote, but I think he has the best Bond movies.
Yeah.
Even with just the 3 that are
Well, and
quality.
the problem with Connery is that he just made so many of them that there's some crap in there.
And some of them are really dated.
Yeah. Yep.
So, recommendation or ranking amongst the Craigs. How many Craigs would you give it?
It's the second best one.
Next
I would
to?
have to watch Casino Royale again. Wait, it's the best
you
one.
said Skyfall is your favorite.
No. It's another one I've seen. It's the best one, but I'd have to see Casino Royale again. Because I've only seen it that one time we watched it at your house. Here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Listening.
What's your favorite credit sequence?
Opening credit sequence?
That's sort of
to me,
thing.
so much of it is dependent on the song because I think the actual graphics and the credits blend in my mind so much together.
Yeah.
I would say that I think the Jack White song is my favorite, which is Quantum of Solace.
I don't remember the credits to that at all, though.
I don't remember the sequence. I mean, Chris Cornell did Casino Royale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who did Spectre. I think Adele?
No. Adele did Skyfall.
Sam
Smith did
So
Spectre.
Is it like a artist, like,
Probably.
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
think anymore as much. as it used to be. I think the Brosnan Bonds, there was like, you're an artist if you get to be on doing the James Bond song. But I think that what I mean by not anymore is like, there's not the, there's going to be an artist that does it. It's not like some surprise, like, is Chris Cornell doing it?
Yeah.
Like Paul McCartney did Live and Let Die back in the day.
Yeah.
Radiohead submitted a song for Spectre, but they said it was too dark.
They said it was too boring.
Nice. They couldn't understand the words.
I think it's a better song than the Sam Smith one. But.
Whoa, it leaked? You can listen to it?
Oh, they released it.
Oh.
Yeah, they released it a couple years ago. It's just called Spectre. It's really good. Anyways.
Spoiler section?
So let's get into spoilers.
Spoilies.
Spoilers.
Spillies.
Spoilers.
The big
spoilers
reveal, I think.
Spoilers.
In this that.
Tried to bring it back in one piece of those.
The two big things that happen in this movie are. Spoilers. They give Bond a kid. He has a child.
They just give it to him.
There you go.
All that sex you had?
Q just gives him
all those years of sex.
This is the new baby Bond. Here it is.
You get to see the childbirth. Classic Bond.
The second one...
Wasn't there for it.
The second one is they kill off Daniel Craig's...
Spoiler.
James Bond at the end. With rockets.
Daniel Craig's James Bond. He's got a little action figure of himself. Daniel Craig, the actor.
And they kill it off.
He blows it up. He goes, boom.
He kind of cries a little bit.
Daniel Craig's Bond. Ian Fleming's Daniel Craig's Bond.
That's it.
But yeah, he dies at the end. And they gave him a child with Madeline Swan in this film. Because there is a 5-year time jump between the intro and when the majority of the film goes. And he has not seen her in that 5 years.
You will never see me again.
Yeah. One thing I will say about early on in the movie, the second...
Spoilers.
The shots in the train where the train is moving and he's not, and just that whole sequence was the first time I felt like, okay, this is Carrie Joe's style in it and his camera work. And he's not going to be kind of drowned out by the franchise he's a part of now. Kind of like other filmmakers that go to bigger franchises. They don't have their particular style anymore.
Yeah.
But that moment I was like, okay,
yeah,
he's still...
It was really disorienting.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm trying to figure out
how he did it.
What's going on?
I literally leaned over to Peyton. I was like, how the crap did they do that?
Yeah, so I noticed something, but I was just like...
The first shot I remember was him signing the piece of paper when he's going to say goodbye to Eva Green's character.
Where he's sitting at the desk and just like
the shot behind him. Yeah. The completely dark shot with the sunlight behind him. I was like, that's a great shot.
Yeah. What were some favorite moments, some favorite things that happened? And then we can get into any negatives, and then we'll kind of wrap it up with a recommendation.
Loved when he was down the tunnel and he turned and shot someone.
Oh, yeah. That was the classiest. I mean, that was the classiest time I've ever seen that, I think.
It's fan service, but done in a way that's not, like,
it was
annoying.
Practical, again. It was like, I felt like that was the case with all of the fan winks of the Martini, the Bond James Bond. It's clever because he's coming back to MI6 and they don't have him on file. Yeah. It's kind of funny, It's not
and the guy's the other performance of the guy typing in his name was what made it.
It's not cheesy.
Yeah.
It's like there's some level of practicality to them.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect example of one.
And
it was really good.
The third act's set was a really cool location.
The island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
very classic Bond.
Right.
To be on an island.
An island fortress of some kind.
And then I thought the car chase through the woods ish area. It's sort of
the foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate car chases. They're almost always boring. It's just a very close shot up of someone driving, and then it's just a real quick shot of a car doing a turn, back to a close indoor shot of a car. It's like, these are so boring. There's no tension here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very similar to action sequences when it's super tight and blurry fists, and then it zooms out and someone goes back super tight, blurry. It's like, they're not really doing anything.
Right.
But this was cool because it was like, you know, either crane or helicopter shots or whatever, where
They're driving the cars.
yeah, you can watch them and they're like flipping cars.
Well,
Like,
and the other
it's
thing
really
too
cool.
that I said to Peyton is giving Bond personal stakes in it of having a child and this woman that he loves.
That could have provided some
immediately-
tension as well.
Immediately
Yeah.
ratchets up the tension
Yeah.
because, like, I've not seen a Bond film where he's fighting bad guys and he's also protecting his potential baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's not a thing that's happened before. So immediately the tension is higher, I
Yeah.
think. I agree. I think that sequence, especially when they get out of the car and they're in the foggy woods,
Mm-hmm.
was one of the strongest action sequences. And then the other strong point for me
Again,
was...
he turns into like literally a monster.
yeah.
He's like hunting them in the woods.
Mm.
Yeah. Peyton leaned over and said, "New Predator movie with Daniel Craig?"
Nice.
Um,
It's cool when he shoots anyone, obviously, but in this one, it's cool when like it feels like they're cooler than they are when they shoot people that you haven't seen on screen yet. You know, because like there was one he shot through the fog, and you're like, what the frick? And then the dead body falls through the fog. and you're
right.
like, that's cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that sequence was probably a strong point visually and also just the way it's choreographed and the tension in that he's hunting these people down and stuff. And the other strong point for me was the camera work and that final action sequence in the stairwell.
Yeah. That one shot.
It was pretty long. I always
It's
hate.
not all a one take,
Right,
but they're
yeah.
very long takes, and the choreography of the camera feels natural, but also specific.
Well,
Yeah.
and I was paying attention the second time. It does not cut from the time he gets in the bottom of the stairs to the top of the stairs. Does not cut.
Oh, really?
No. Grenade goes off. It's shell shock. It's still not cut. Goes up again, all the way to the until he chokes the guy out and kills him with the watch. It doesn't cut.
There's a couple
Huh.
of really close moments, but I mean, I don't know who's to say.
I could
but
have sworn I saw some cuts, but I must have.
If they did, they were
misunderstood.
hidden.
Yeah,
Is- I
It
guess
could be a
it's-
hidden.
yes,
yeah, it could be
yeah.
a hidden cut.
But
Right.
yeah, because
there probably is.
I hate
Like,
that when the first time you're watching that. For me, personally, I'm like, I never realized what's happening until it's like, oh wait, crap, how long has it been happening?
Yeah.
Dang, now I'm watching. You know, but
Yeah.
it's like, so I have no idea how long it was. But when I started noticing, I was like, oh, this is cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you wonder if, like, because
And it
Carrie
looks
Jo,
almost entirely practical too.
yeah, Carrie Joji has done that before. True
In
Detective,
yeah.
famously has a very long one shot.
It's like 7 or 8 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a
The
thing.
neighborhood shootout. though.
Definitely thing he goes for sometimes, and I was impressed to see him pull it off really well, and it was intense and
Mhm.
visceral, and it was a good final action sequence, I think, for Bond. It really seemed like he might have died at any point during that,
Yeah.
but also maintaining his coolness and like his strength,
Mm-hmm.
and that he's still able to do this. Those were strong aspects, and then I think that one of the strongest aspects is giving him personal stakes that are, and it's when these Daniel Craig films have been the strongest is when they do that. Skyfall, you have his backstory kind of at the end, going to his home, and then in Casino Royale, you have his relationship with Ava Green's character, and how that's felt throughout the rest of his movies. Like the beginning of this movie has stuff about Casino
Vesper.
Royale and Vesper, and it shaped his portrayal of Bond throughout all of them. So I thought giving him a family and him not being able to like actually experience it and sacrificing himself for it, I thought was a really strong aspect of it.
The other thing worth
yeah.
mentioning that giving him personal stakes is when his CIA
Yeah,
compatriot
Felix Leiter.
Felix, that scene. Well, I mean, obviously, him dying is in his arms is like, you know, that's another personal stakes
Right.
to finish out the story, you know.
Yeah, that puts him in it even more than Madeline, because at that point he doesn't really know that Madeline's involved yet.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, I mean, Felix literally looks him in the eyes and says, "Make this worth it."
Right.
Essentially.
Mhm.
I said to you afterwards, I think that was some of the strongest dialogue in the whole movie was their interaction in that last scene with him, and Jeffrey Wright's amazing in
incredible.
like every performance. But yeah, that was really good too. Any other strong points we want to point to? Yeah, I mean, I just thought visually it was.
I thought Hans
really
Zimmer
impressive.
did a really good job.
Yeah.
I think there
were a couple moments where you're like, there
it's
he
Hans
is.
Zimmer, yeah. I don't think it was like remarkable. I think Blade Runner 2049 is better of his recent work, but I think he did a really good job.
It's a classic
I think
style score.
It is classic Bond score. I think the final sequence score is really good. I think that's really where he earned his money there.
Yeah.
Is the strings on the cuts of everybody. I think they did a really good job on that.
Yeah, I think it was. I agree with you. It didn't feel overly long. It didn't feel like there was any fat in it that could have been cut out, really.
No, which is impressive again for 2:45.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as weak points go, there's really only two things that stood out to me as like, and Rami Malek, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's his performance or
I feel like it's more the character.
possibly. I thought it was well connected to Madeline, like
Yeah.
But once he kills off Spectre, which was his main drive, there's not really much of a reason for him to keep going. Like there's not real that's never really said. It's just like, oh, he's
It would have been
crazy.
much more interesting if like he was trying to because if you think about it, it lines up perfectly with what happens in the movie. He's killing Spectre, but also his thing is killing their families too, if possible.
Mhm.
So why not? So Madeline's a daughter of Spectre. Why not make the story where he's trying to kill her because she's a daughter of Spectre?
Yeah.
Even though I guess he saved her in the beginning, but
Yeah.
that would be much more interesting than he accomplishes that and then he just wants Madeline for some reason.
Yeah.
And then who is he attacking after that? It's basically the rest of the world.
Right. The who is he attacking after that is the thing that's weird. Less to me, I didn't have a problem with his kind of twisted obsession with Madeline in wanting to have her essentially.
Yeah.
I think
You're into that?
I thought
You're kind of into that?
Didn't have a problem with it.
I thought it seemed to fit in this like kind of obsessive thing that he has, and the event.
I guess he
where-
has it. I mean, we don't really know him
I
that
guess
well.
that's
You know
true.
what I mean?
You get a little bit of that in the first scene with him and her
Yeah.
in her office. You get the majority of his motivations with her in that scene, I think. In terms of his big picture plan, though, it's a bit nebulous. Like, he's just going to release this virus
I was
on
thinking
the
about
world.
this the second time I watched it, though. The way the character dies dictates to me that maybe
He didn't really matter.
it didn't matter that much.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you'd think that if the character mattered a lot, there'd be some kind of, like, ceremonious, like,
right.
last breath, you know.
I'm going to explain my plot.
Yeah, whatever.
and-
Like,
yeah.
he literally just it cuts to a long shot, and then he just caps him in the head, like,
And
3 times.
he's doing this
crazy.
big villain monologue, and you can just tell Daniel Craig doesn't give a crap what he's saying.
Yeah,
He's just like,
heard it
you've
before.
just ruined
for no reason.
everything
Mhm.
for me, and I'm going to have to die now.
Yeah.
Pop. Like, it. So that's a good point. It might not really matter, and that might be what the filmmaker's going for. I think now that you're saying that, that makes more sense to me from knowing Kerry Joji's films. That makes more sense to me than negligence or just like leaving it out
Mm-hmm.
or not really thinking it through, because nothing he has made before indicates he does that at all.
Yeah.
He's so
I think it's just
particular.
a little for most moviegoers. I think it's a little bit confusing maybe
little
because
vague.
Remy Malek's a big star. So it's
Sure.
like you cast him
And he's also the villain.
and he's the villain.
Mm-hmm.
You expect, or at least subconsciously expect, him to be there to be some fleshed out like
Right.
him really.
And so Carrie's like
cool.
sneaking in this other thing that maybe more sophisticated movie watchers is the wrong word,
Mhm.
but that you wouldn't expect necessarily in a Bond movie, something subverting that feeling, you know, or that expectation, I guess.
Yeah, or I don't know. I mean, we can only deduce. He's crazy. He wants a kid, apparently, and he loves plants.
Mm-hmm.
Poison plants.
And the virus thing, I guess. But it's like,
Right.
that's really all I got from it, really.
The biggest motivation was he wanted to kill Spectre, and his family was
Yeah, I guess that's
poisoners.
true. I'm thinking the third act specifically. But yeah,
his
Yeah.
like his family were poison makers.
yeah.
I think they tried
But-
to give him something in that final scene with him and Bond of you do the same thing I do. I just want to be tidier. If his targets were like murderers and stuff, and that was clear, if they were
Yeah, that's never
evil
indicated.
evil
Yeah.
people, it would be more compelling because
Mm-hmm.
Bond now has to reconcile with like, well, maybe it would be good actually.
Yeah.
He's basically using the DNA thing for what we were gonna do
Yeah.
Yeah.
as the smart bomb or whatever,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
smart bullet.
I thought his performance though was fine. I thought it was, but probably the weakest. What?
Can't tell what that is.
It's probably the weakest performance in the movie, I think. And then the other thing I was gonna say that I thought was a little odd.
Big dog.
The other thing I thought was a little odd, and it's not necessarily a flat out negative, but I thought Anna de Armas's character and performance was a little like
See, I thought
thrown
that,
in, it felt like, but it didn't necessarily take away from the movie, but it did feel like a little bit of, oh, she's just being put into the movie to be the young, attractive Bond girl, quote unquote.
I thought it was kind of cool that again, a list star
Right.
is in the movie for like 10 minutes. I
Yeah,
think that's kind of cool.
that's not the length of time is not the
I thought her
issue,
character was
felt.
kind of cool too, being her first mission, but she's actually really good. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was just something that felt a little odd to me. Again, not a major downfall of the movie because again, it's only 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
It was just a little. It felt a little bit like, here's the hot young girl, like there she is.
James
Okay.
Bond.
But they don't have the one aspect of it I did enjoy though was they didn't have any kind of romantic thing.
Yeah.
And at the end he's just like, it was a pleasure working with you, and
Yeah.
he leaves. That was well done. It was just that was my initial
Seems
feeling
strange.
from that sequence. And I think we said it. If there was one sequence that could be cut down a little bit, it would probably be the Cuba stuff.
If you had to.
If you
Yeah.
had to, it doesn't need to be, but that worked. I thought just fine. The action did. Those are my only real negatives. I thought everything else really
I
worked.
think the negative. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, the biggest one was like almost every time the whole like you 007, me 007, you
Yeah.
007. It's like
Yeah.
I guess if we're setting up her character for the next 007, but if we're gonna
it
act
doesn't
like
seem like they are. There's been if that was the case, I think they already would have announced that she was going to be the next Bond.
She's not.
well, that's
She's not.
that's the thing is like
Yeah.
She's 007.
yeah. So that never landed with me
Right.
ever, even the first time. It's like, okay, this is clearly going to be a big deal, you know. And
Are the
then-
movies called James Bond Casino Royale, or is it just called Casino Royale?
Casino Royale.
So
But yeah, I heard. I don't know.
I didn't think her performance was great.
Same. It's her character and his character were. I get that. It's like we have our differences,
Sure.
and then eventually we're gonna put them aside, and it's gonna be awesome. And it never got that, so it just felt like, why don't they just work together?
Yeah.
Like, and so I don't know. And then the whole wait, we have to like take our American, viewing out of it. It's like, oh wait, yeah, he doesn't work with the CIA. He works with them. So it's like,
Yeah.
those are separate entities, and they could be different. Like, and so it's like when she comes in and takes the scientist away, it's like, perfect. And then you're, oh wait, no, wait,
Right.
so that was bad. Okay, interesting. But then they're working together sometimes. So it's like,
Right.
it was that was strange, and I don't think that they did what her character and Bond could have.
I think them
Whatever.
just getting along could have been interesting.
Yeah,
Because it would have been less stereotypical,
Yeah.
I guess, of like, I replaced you, I'm going to be snarky to you because I think I'm better than you and I'm younger than you and I can do more stuff. You're old.
I'm James Bond.
Right.
And then when he threw that thing in the trash can, you're like, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
I could
cool.
see that.
I think the other weakness is just any time that it's unavoidable because more than half the story is built off of it is the Spectre backstory stuff of I don't really care about the people dying in
Yeah.
Cuba. I mean, to me, Blofeld's really the only like main.
And he was better in this movie than he was in all of Spectre.
Yeah. I just, because he's more subdued. He was
Yeah.
just talking, Still weird, but talking.
Mm-hmm.
And they wheeled him out, and it was just that shot of him coming down the hallway. I was like, I leaned over to Pay. I was like, this is how Christoph Waltz should be treated at all times.
It felt felt very classic Bond to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it.
It had a little Silence of the Lambs-y
Yeah.
kind of feel. But
yeah, just the Spectre stuff isn't that interesting to me.
yeah.
It's more interesting. That's why Casino Royale is so good, because it's just about Bond as a person,
Yeah.
not just like a
And I think
dude.
if you look at Spectre in this as more just like it's what everyone would expect to be causing everything, but then they all die off, and so it throws Bond and them for a loop. It's more, it works better
as
than,
a story point
Right.
more than like you should care about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't think this movie is wanting you to lean on your love of the movie Spectre,
Yeah.
because I just don't think it is. It's trying to do its own thing. But the relationship between the two of them, between Madeline and him, was much more believable in this movie than it was in Spectre. I
Yeah,
thought their
I agree.
chemistry was better in this movie than in the previous one.
Yeah.
I got the feeling from Spectre that nobody cared. That they were
Mhm.
just like, let's just do another one. Whereas this one, it felt like everybody cared and was giving it their all. That's my general feeling compared to the last one. Any final thoughts? I really enjoyed it. It surpassed my expectations, and I definitely want to see it again.
I would say go see it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth watching, especially if you like any of the previous movies. I think it's about as good as you can do an ending to a story that has major flaws. Not flaws, but major flat points in terms of from movie 1 to movie 5. I think that it is really fun and enjoyable for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It keeps you interested for sure.
The last point I was going to say was I was impressed by it successfully used humor in a major blockbuster release. And I have not seen a major tentpole franchise correctly and effectively use humor and not some painful like Marvel kind of quippy thing. And this movie was like genuinely funny at points. I was saying to Peyton, I loved the Russian guy. I thought he was
the scientist.
really funny.
Yeah.
He might have been overused a little bit,
Yeah.
but he was funny in the movie in not some kind of like painful way.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of I would say 90% of the jokes worked
Yeah.
really well. which is rare in
Yeah.
blockbuster films, I think.
Well, I think they got Bond humor, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
different than
that's-
some other stuff.
That's
Sure.
So, yeah. Yes.
It's more in line with. He knows he's saying a one-liner, but he's saying it anyway, kind of
Mhm.
thing. Like it knows it's funny.
Even the most painful one, which I would say is the really blew his
The
mind.
watch one.
Yeah. Q's reaction to it is, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
movie,
He
that
doesn't say
was-
anything. He's like,
It's like,
okay.
right, good. Okay.
Even Bond knows that. He just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
they got that. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, No Time to Die.
7 out of 10.
I would say 7.5 out of 10.
7 out of-
007
7
out of 10.
You missed out.
No, there was 2 sevens though.
77. 0077 out of 100.
All right. My name is Wes, and this has been This Podcast Is Not For You.
I've changed over to Wes.
My name is Bond.
Jacob.
Jimmy Bond.
Jimmy's.
Bye.